Hey, it's Goblin, co-host on Quality Violent Cinema, and this is the first episode of Fright Fight. I'm joined today by my co-host Christian,
What's up?
and today we're going to get into CZW Scarred for the first episode. Just throw it back to one of the DVDs I watched all the time as a kid, where I really fell in love with deathmatch wrestling, seeing, Nick Mondo, Wife Beater, Zandig, Nick Gage, Pondo, like all the old school people. So yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun and very nostalgic for me. What is your knowledge of deathmatch wrestling, Christian? Before we get into this,
I would say kind of new. I definitely didn't grow up on it, but I always kind of knew it was about, or knew it was around.
yeah,
I got more into it once I started collecting all the fucking bum fights and stuff because I was trying to basically collect all the crazy fight shit. It seems that CZW is definitely the way to go when it comes to extreme shit. So I was like, well, this seems fun. So I'm gonna be kind of watching a lot more.
it's a good place to dive in head first. They're not really much around anymore, or when they do, it's not that good, to be honest. But no, we'll definitely get into some newer deathmatch stuff soon, and try to have a couple people on to discuss their time in deathmatch. So, but yeah, if you're ready to get started, let's do this because I fucking love this shit.
Welcome to another edition of Combat Zone Wrestling Home Video.
So were they kind of the start of Extreme? I mean, besides Japanese, I know the Japanese label kind of did it, but in the States, were they kind of the first?
They were kind of the first to do ultra-violent. Hardcore and even death matches were done before, like by ECW in Philadelphia. Like they would have barbed wire matches, they'd have matches involving, fire and stuff. But it was really CZW that came along. We're like, hey, we're going to use weed eaters. Here's, explosions in the United States. Just, they kind of took ultra-violence to a new level.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with like the Tournament of Death and stuff. Like, I mean, IWA Mid-South had been around since the mid-90s. They had like deathmatch tournaments, but I don't know. CZW took it to a whole new level.
Mm-hmm. And you think most of these people started with backyard wrestling?
I know a majority of them did. But I mean, CZW can kind of definitely say it started out as like a backyard mud wrestling organization, and then they started a school and trained like 4 people, and that they just built the company from those people. Like I know Justice Payne was in the first class, Nick Gage was in the first class of CZW. Lobo, who ended up feuding with John Zandig over ownership of the company during Tournament of Death 1.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it started small and then it blew up where they took over the ECW arena for years and were selling it out, like Cage of Death 3 and stuff like that. Some of the really good early stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, even this is in the parking lot of a bar.
Mm-hmm. And who do you think leads it now?
Leads deathmatch wrestling in the United States? Oh, ICW, no holds barred, for sure, 100%. Hands down, best deathmatch company in America. Or, I mean, they're taking it all over the world. They just did an Australia show. They're going to England soon. So, to me, Danny DeMondo is hands down one of the best promoters in deathmatch. The best promoter in deathmatch. He's got the best team behind him. So
who are your favorites in the scene?
Like recently or just all time?
I mean, all time, and then we can go recent.
Okay. I mean, all time, of course, Nick Mondo is in this match in the, purple or blue puffy pants. I can't really tell right now, but yeah, he was the one who got me into it, watching him and Homeless Jimmy at Tournament of Death 1, which has that famous Ryder truck, assault driver off the Ryder truck through light tubes. Nick Gage was always just phenomenal. JC Bailey before he passed, just a legend. Nate Hatred. I don't know, just a lot of the core CZW Midwest guys as well. It was just... There's certain wrestlers I liked, and then there are certain wrestlers which I really didn't like, and you kind of learned early that I'm not into like the slow, like mumbling, like just hitting each other. Like I actually like the wrestlers who can do that shit. Like Nick Mondo would always throw in actual moves, Pondo just doing crazy fucking shit.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, and then you also get like the really bad like mud wrestling, like IWA Deep South, where it's just like two rednecks just pummeling each other for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like the more athletic ones, and then that kind of built today. Or like some of my favorites are today, or like Akira, who has a good hybrid style. Eric Ryan's really good. Cruel is just a fucking monster right now. Of course, Schlack, said that he left for XPW, but you got to eat, so I get it.
Yeah. No, it seems Nick Mondo is pretty athletic.
Yeah, like he was doing springboards and stuff when a lot of guys were just walking around hitting each other with chairs and, barely wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is, the classic. God damn, that would hurt. Yeah, no shit, that fucking hurt.
I'm forgetting the name of the celebrity, but that Nick Gage fight with him was fucking hilarious.
Oh, David Arquette?
Yeah, the David Arquette stuff. That was pretty funny. I mean, I think it's still kind of fucked up that he didn't abide by the understanding that they made at dinner. But
okay, so
like,
have
don't
you
cut
seen
my
the
face.
Dark Side of the Ring episode?
I watched the little doc that they did on Vice.
No, I really like Dark Side of the Ring, but yeah, that Nick Gage episode is really good. Talk about him going to prison and all that, and his redemption story. But yeah, no, that David Arquette thing, I mean, you're stepping into the ring with the man who's known for being like the fucking king of deathmatch wrestling. Like, of course, shit's gonna go wrong, and he could have played it cooler. Of course, he didn't have to shoot on him, but Gate also like really took care of him at the end, was just like, lay down because I will fucking murder you.
Yeah, well, and the getting stabbed in the neck, I think it was just kind of like, all right, dude, that was a little much.
Yeah, I mean, some people can do it, some people can't.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not for everyone, of course, and that's fine. I mean, that's the good thing about wrestling nowadays is there's so many fucking companies. If you'll find anything, if you want some high flying flippy shit, you got it. If you want some hardcore deathmatch, some straight up like just fighting, you got it. Sports entertainment, of course, but I don't like that.
Has there been any other celebrities that kind of did that, or was that basically just in?
No, I mean, there's. I'm trying to think. I know there's only been a couple at least. Like, Danger Aaron from fucking Jackass. He just did his first deathmatch.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I know he just did one. There's probably a couple. I'm not thinking straight, because honestly, this is way too early than my mind's usually awake.
It'd be interesting just seeing like a whole Jackass, like them all just wrestling together.
Well, I know I said I don't like sports entertainment, but Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville did do a match at WrestleMania, and it was actually really fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
And they used a lot of weapons and stuff. Of course, they're not doing deathmatch style. Like, the only ones on TV doing deathmatch style would be AEW. But even then, it's very rare. But, like, Nick Gage versus Chris Jericho in AEW was, like, crazy to me. I think it was a no-rope barbed wire match or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
But, Chris Jericho went straight up for it. He was like, yeah, fuck it, let's do a deathmatch. The funny thing is Domino's got really mad because they did a side-by-side where they're like, hey, continue watching the action during this commercial break. And as soon as the Domino's commercial started, that's when Nick Gage pulled out a pizza cutter and was, like, cutting Chris Jericho's head, and Domino's got really fucking mad about it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good promoting right there.
Right? Like, you want pizza? And it's just him carving up a dude's forehead.
I think you can't get better than that right there.
I've actually met Pondo a couple times. He's a really cool fucking dude. Mm-hmm. He's super into horror. He loves horror. But, I mean, he's still wrestling to this day, and he started in the early to mid-90s, and he's still going strong.
Yeah, because I'm sure you have basically like a certain lifespan in it before your body is just like, nope.
I mean, yes and no. Because there are people who do it for a few years and retire, and then you have people like Terry Funk who, has been doing death matches and hardcore matches up into his, 70s and was still going at it.
That's crazy.
And he was, he was 70 years old doing backflips off of fucking ladders and shit. Like,
how many years did Nick make it?
Nick Gage?
Yeah. Oh, Nick
He
Mondo.
started. Oh, Mondo was very short. I think he was 4 years. He started in '99 and he retired in '03 after Tournament of Death 2 when he punctured his back.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore.
I mean, he was pushing hard though.
But like shit like that. Like, where do you get a springboard corkscrew in a death match at this time?
Mm-hmm.
That's just a classic match. I always loved watching that one as a kid.
Of course, he's wearing an ICP hoodie on his ass.
Oh yeah, no, he's a juggler. He wrestled for their company for a while, the Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he wrestled for them for quite a while. I think he still does the Gathering sometimes. I don't know. Oh yeah, but like I said, his theme song is fucking "Last Resort" by Papa Roach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure there's a huge population of juggalos that are into this, just because of the backyard wrestling and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, when I went to Deathmatch Circus, there was a whole Juggalo tent. I mean, the Bocce boys are juggalos, and they're some of the coolest fucking people. They sell this thing called Juggalo juice that they make themselves. I bought 2 bottles, and I had one, and I was fucked up.
Is that Fago in it?
I think. No. It's a type of moonshine they make, but like it's fucking nuts.
Moonshine and Fago. Sounds alright.
Fuck it, it's delicious and it does the job.
Oh yeah.
Is that how juggalos do it? Like rappers, have lean and Fago, and they're having moonshine and Fago.
I mean, I used to take shots of Everclear before going into the bar just to save money.
That makes sense. I will have 1 beer. Why? Because I did 40 shots before I came.
Yeah, I wouldn't do 40 fucking shots of Everclear, but fuck. It's like basically rubbing alcohol.
Yeah. RIP Trent Acid. Oh, and wife beater at that point. Damn.
It's called an A shirt, okay? I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, there's a young Nick Gage.
Yeah.
So the guy, that guy and Nick Gage, they're actually brothers. That's Justice Payne.
Mm.
He's not around anymore either, R.I.P. Justice Payne.
Oh, that's a big fucking plate of glass.
Oh yeah. That's a baseball bat. And that's the owner of the company getting smashed in the face. Fun fact, the guy in the green tank top in the background on that last clip taking pictures ended up becoming a deathmatch wrestler because he enjoyed it so much.
Mm. So what has been the most serious injuries?
Definitely Nick Gage dying. At Tournament of Death, I think 8. Yeah, Tournament of Death 8 or 9, I can't remember. But they did a 200 light tube death match. It was him and Thumbtack Jack, who was a deathmatch wrestler from Germany, who, like, I fucking love him. He was a great deathmatch wrestler, but he ended up having to retire because he broke 2 vertebrae in his neck.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nick Gage went through the ropes and a piece of glass, or a piece of the light tube snapped off and it shoved right into his artery under his arm. They had to airlift him off of it because an ambulance couldn't get onto the farm it was being held, and he died on the helicopter for 9 minutes, and they brought him back to life.
Damn.
And it was like 2 weeks later, he was back in the ring.
That's crazy.
Onita, in Japan, he accidentally swallowed barbed wire during a match, and they had to like cut open his neck and do surgery to remove it to make sure he didn't fuck himself up.
That's crazy.
Definitely one of the funniest ones would be Madman Pondo at Tournament of Death 4. He had this idea to make a board that had a bunch of number 2 pencils sticking out of it, and he got slammed on it right on his ass, and he said he was dicking graphite out of his ass for like a month. He said that shit fucking sucked. Like, he could like dig the finger into the hole and like try to pull it out and shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. Watching the interview where he talks about it's fucking hilarious, though. He's a funny dude.
Yeah, where else is it popular? I mean, besides, Japan and US, but...
Germany has a big deathmatch scene, or I don't know if it's as big anymore. It was big back in the day. Oh yeah, when he got his arm cut open, they had to tape it. Fuck. Mexico, I think it's like Zona 23 or something. They do deathmatch wrestling in a junkyard. That shit's fucking crazy in Mexico. Trying to think. Japan, of course. Other than that, I mean, the UK, Australia is really big with deathmatch down under. I mean, there's scenes everywhere. It's just, you gotta find them. Because it's a very niche thing.
Yeah, and it depends on probably territory just like us, where there's blood states and stuff like that.
Yeah, blood states, bloodless states, what's considered... I mean, some places consider it a performance art, some places consider it an actual, sport, so...
Mm-hmm. Some people consider it snuff.
Yeah.
Let's just watch people get murdered.
If I heard that sound, I'd automatically be running. I wouldn't be like, alright, I'm just gonna not pay attention. Someone have a fucking chainsaw behind me?
Weed whacking. He's weed whacking his back as he's fucking trying to arm wrestle. That's not fair.
Right. Don't hit the ponytail. Don't hit the ponytail.
Yeah, right. He gets snacked and it's like, ah! It's like fucking stuck.
Rips his fucking scalp off. You're like, damn, that really was a deathmatch.
Right.
Oh my god.
Talk about scars, John. Nobody is safe from the weed whacker here in CZW.
Not me, not you. Them things have a mind of their own, Eric. I must got killed out here.
That is why we are watching.
These were the voices of CZW I listened to growing up, and nowadays I'm just like, sometimes it's pretty hard.
Yeah. How many times have you jerked off to this?
Dude, shut up, alright?
Maybe backyard babes.
Oh my god. Well, no, I could just pop in an XPW DVD. That's all it was just titties and bad wrestling.
Right. Yeah, it seems like... So Nick Mondo was the first to get weed whacked, right?
Yeah, I think the first use of the weed whacker. No, because these shows were before that. So they had been using the weed whacker, but his was the most famous.
Oh, okay.
Just because it was the big finale to the big first deathmatch tournament they did. It's actually a great tournament. I mean, it's definitely your, rougher, early, late 90s, early 2000s type deathmatch wrestling, but it's still a fun watch.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, Eric.
Yeah.
All over the world, and on this video, we're going to show you.
So how many people have you met that are in the scene?
I mean, I met a bunch of people. I mean, I went to Deathmatch Circus, which is like a 2-day event that they have, and so you're just hanging out with wrestlers all weekend until they go to the hotel or all that. But after the show, they just hang out. We were supposed to have a smoke out, but an incident happened, and so we weren't able to have the smoke out. But no, I met a lot of them. I met Akira Schlack, John Wayne Murdoch, Joel Bateman, Casey Kirk, Brandon Kirk, Satu Jin. Just fucked on Neil Diamond Cutter. Met Darren McCarty from the Detroit Red Wings. He's now doing deathmatch wrestling and owns a cannabis company, so we talked about weed a lot.
Nice.
Now, when I went to Deathmatch Circus, I left Friday with 2 zips, and I came back Sunday with an 8th. It was just non-stop.
So how much drugs do you think some of the people are on to not feel pain?
Oh my god. So that's the bad thing is they have definitely lost quite a few people to drug addiction and drug overdoses and such.
I can imagine.
It used to be a
Lots
lot
of
more
opium.
prominent. Now, now I don't think it's so much as a thing, but back in the day, oh yeah.
Yeah, because you just
I
end
mean,
up
ECW.
taking
If you
so
watch
much pain pills.
interviews with ECW wrestlers, they admit it. They're like, "Oh yeah, we'd go backstage. There's fucking lines of blow everywhere. We're smoking weed with all these hookers. Like fucking people are shooting up. Like, I mean, it was the Wild West back in the days.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it really cleaned up a lot. I think just the scene in general has.
Well, yeah, and especially when you're dealing with this kind of stuff, you're trying not to get too much attention.
I mean, I'm not gonna say everyone's clean. There's probably definitely people out there still popping just to make it through. But money's money, man. You gotta. Not condoning drug use, but I'm saying if you're doing this shit, I can kind of understand it.
Yeah, that's partially why I bring it up, because it just seems like you have to deal with so much pain. Because you're talking about the bruising and internal shit.
Matches a week.
Yeah. Because the cuts are not even half of what they're dealing with,
Oh no. I mean, sure, you're like, oh man, they got slammed through a light tube table, but like, you have to remember, there's no mats on the floor. Like, that's just straight concrete they're getting dropped on. Sure, it breaks your fall a little bit, but it's still not gonna feel good.
Yeah, like the one Nick Mondo was out for almost like a minute just because he was just like he was like, I literally fucking was just out for a second.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when he got knocked the fuck out after going off the roof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he like basically didn't hit it right.
Yeah, when Zandig got scared at the last second, so Zandig went feet down and kicked all the tables out, and Mondo just went straight to the fucking concrete.
Yeah.
And they were like, you can't go back out there. He's like, no, I'm going back out there. I'm wrestling this last match.
Yeah. And there was a big case in his last match, right? There was kind of like a reason why he was like, yeah, I'm done.
I mean, that was his last match.
Oh, okay.
Was because he went into that tournament, he had broken his hand in 3 places, so he went in with a cast. That happened where he literally got dropped off the roof, got knocked out, had a puncture wound in his back so bad that they said it was like a gunshot wound. And they just wrapped him up with tape. He's like, I'm finishing this last match, because he was going to win it. He won the tournament. So, I mean, he was like, no, I got to do this. And then after that match, or after the tournament, he's like, yeah, no, I'm done. I'm moving to Japan and teaching English and becoming a filmmaker.
Oh, really? I didn't even know he was a filmmaker.
Yeah, he made the documentary The Trade, which is about deathmatch wrestling. And
has he done anything
it's
else?
It's actually really
is
good, though. I think just The Trade. I'm going to check his IMDb in a minute, but I'm sure he's worked on something here or there.
Yeah, the Japan world seems crazy in the extreme wrestling.
I mean, especially if you go back in the 90s, it's just like they had alligator death matches where like the loser had to wrestle an alligator. Piranha death match where they have a tank of piranhas, quote unquote. That
they're Oscar fishes.
But like you have to throw your opponent in the tank and put a piece of wood over it and hold him down for 3 seconds. The spider, or what is it, Circus of Deathmatch or something like that, where they literally put a barbed wire trampoline over the ring and you fight on a scaffold and then fall into the barbed wire. Japan's the one who brought explosions and shit.
Yeah, I was seeing some of that. And then the fire matches where they burn the whole ring.
Oh, God. Yeah, when they almost killed the fucking Iron Sheik.
Yeah, there's definitely some shots that seemed like they would have been cool. Like when they were trying to go off the ropes were on fire, so like, of course it didn't hold.
Yeah.
It's like you have burning ropes, of course they're not going to hold. Like...
Fun stuff.
Yeah. Has there been anyone that just like tapped out early and just like said, fuck this, like I'm out? Or they usually just
I'm sure there has, but they're probably on such small shows. David Arquette, I guess you could say.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, if they have, then it's someone who's never done a death match. So it's probably on either such a small show that no one really knows about it, or that it was on such a big stage that they just made it through, but then we're like, alright, I'm not doing that again. I don't think there's anyone who's just been like mid-match and been like, you know what, no, I've quit. That's it. I'm walking out. Bye, guys.
Mm-hmm. They usually know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, Zandig did not give a fuck about his bag.
What are some of your favorite matches?
Shit. I mean, Homeless Jimmy versus Nick Mondo. I think it was, who was it? Necro Butcher, Wife Beater, and Nick Gage in the finals of Tournament of Death 4. Nation of Intoxication versus Ohio is for Killers at Tangled Web 6, maybe? Don't quote me on that. It's at one of the Tangled Webs, the finale. Shit. The Saw death match in Germany between Thumbtack Jack and Drake Younger is a good one. Those are some of the older matches, like some of the newer ones. The fucking super fights between Justin Kyle and Bruce Santee. They're not death matches, but they are fucking brutal. It's just two beast dudes slugging it out like nobody's business.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, honestly, anytime Andy DeMonto's putting someone over in ICW, it's a great match, whether it's Randy or Casey or he's willing to put himself out there. And that's one thing I respect about him as an owner of a company is he won't ask you to do something he wouldn't personally do himself. And he has proved that time and time again that he'll do anything. Schlack versus John Wayne Murdoch at No Holds Barred 2. It's a fucking great match. John Wayne Murdoch versus Oren Veidt. I mean, honestly, John Wayne Murdoch's whole run as the American Deathmatch champion was just banger after banger after banger. Especially the initial match for the championship between him and Eric Ryan, just because they had such a storied feud. That was a good one. So, I mean, honestly, anything ICW does, you're gonna, like, there's something good on every fucking show.
Mm-hmm.
I know I sound like a fucking mark for ICW right now, but yeah, I'll add in Nick Gage versus Schlack at GCW, and then anytime Jun Kasai comes to the States, it's always a good time.
Has there been any big scandals between wrestlers?
I mean, yeah, there's always drama and shit, but it kind of passes, or they just argue it out on Twitter now, and then it's over with before you know it. I guess the most scandalous thing is Dirty Ron McDonald got arrested recently for beating the shit out of his wife. And he's a fucking shit dirtbag anyways, and I've always hated him, but also earlier in the year it came out that he called Brett Lauderdale, the owner of GCW, out for hiring Dirty Ron to fake COVID tests. And when he didn't pay him or something like that, he put him on blast and said, yeah, I made fake COVID tests for Brett Lauderdale, and nobody gave a shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came out he beat the fuck out of his wife. Everybody hates Ian Rotten. He owes everyone so much fucking money. I don't know. There's just a bunch of little things, but nothing like big. I mean, I guess the biggest drama right now would be the whole XPW versus ICW thing. But, I mean, Danny hasn't really said much about it, and Rob Black constantly talks about it. So, I don't know. I couldn't really give a fuck. As long as people are eating, like, you know, fuck Rob Black just for being a shitty owner, but I can't be mad at the wrestlers who want to work for him, or Ron Nemi leaving ICW for them just because, I mean, you gotta eat.
So who's your least favorite wrestlers?
Oh, Jesus. To be honest, there's quite a few of them. John Rare. Alright, fuck John Rare. He's a mud wrestler for IWA Deep South, and he fucking, you know, will shoot on people in matches and start stabbing them, and I think he's the guy who got his finger cut off with bolt cutters. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, he just gives deathmatch wrestling a bad name, because it's definitely just that mud show, walk around, what's the most violent thing we can do. Like, me and my one good friend Connor, he's a huge deathmatch fan, but we were making jokes about it. And I was like, what do you think they're going to do at a Carnage Cup next year? He's like, oh, John Ray's going to pull out a shotgun and shoot someone and then just, like... Yeah, so fuck John Rare. I guess he's really the only one I hate. The ones I don't really like, I hate to say this because he's a cool dude, and you know, whatever. Satu Jin, I don't like his work. I think it looks really bad. You know, there's always room to get better, and he can get better, but I feel like he's more just big because he's friends with the Rejects, whereas it's a group with John Wayne Murdoch and Akira, and then Satu just kind of feels like the outlier. So I'm not really a big fan of his work at all. I respect what he does. I mean, I respect anyone who will put their body through this, but, you know.
You gonna cry about it?
No. It's still over to me, damn it. No, why I was saying that's actually kind of sad is because they cut it out of the clip. It's just that guy. But they were talking about Eddie Guerrero just passing away and that the Chris Benoit murder-suicide tragedy. So they were talking about how, like, this business really takes a toll on your body and your mental state and all that. So he was like, you know, it's real to me because there are consequences to this.
What's the murder-suicide tragedy?
Oh, Chris Benoit, a famous WWE wrestler, ended up murdering his wife and his son and then hanging himself. He didn't show up for a pay-per-view. And then they held a tribute show that next night on Monday Night Raw after they found out he died. And then, like, 2 hours after the show ended, it came out that, like, he murdered his family and killed himself.
Oh, damn.
And there's a lot of speculation, but the most that people agree on is that when his brain was donated to science and when they looked at it, he was in his 40s and he had the same damage on his brain that an 80-year-old dementia patient does. So that's when it started getting into like CTE and WWE got sued over long-term brain damage by a lot of wrestlers. I don't think anything ever came out of it. But that's why they stopped doing like unprotected chair shots to the head or even chair shots to the head. But also, I mean, his finishing move was the diving headbutt. So literally almost every night he was jumping off the top rope and landing on his head.
Yeah, so it's kind of like his own.
So, I mean, honestly, like, people say that he just kind of went crazy. That if you actually knew him, he was never hurt his family like that. They feel he didn't know what he was doing. Kind of like Robin Williams. Bobcat Goldthwait came out and said Robin Williams had no idea what he was doing when he killed himself. So, because of his, dementia and Alzheimer's was so bad. But, yeah. I mean, it really takes a toll, man. If you're doing this day in and day out, there are some people who can make it last and go forever, and there are some people who just can't.
I mean, I'm sure it's scarier getting dementia at an earlier age because you still have your strength and your, kind of like ability to fuck people up. So
Yeah.
versus somebody that's
Yeah,
like
it's
90
probably different
dementia.
when
It's
you're
like
in a
you're
wheelchair.
cute. It's like,
Right? You're just like,
Go.
okay, Grandma, get back to the TV. The war's over now.
oh, cheese grater
Yeah, but
sounds
also,
gross.
I mean, Eddie Guerrero died a couple, 2 years before Chris Benoit did what he did, and they were absolute best friends. They were the closest of friends, and he was absolutely destroyed when Eddie died. Like they said, he became a completely different person. He didn't really have anyone he could trust and all that. So I feel like there's a lot of darkness inside of him too. I mean, I'm not making excuses or trying to, explain what he did, but I'm just saying there are a lot of things that factor. I don't think he was just a cold-blooded, hateful murderer.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, deathmatch wrestling.
Yeah, it makes it definitely like the whole feel of it's like, oh, wrestling is fake. It's like, well, this isn't.
Yeah, right. No, wrestling's real. People are fake.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, shit.
The fans are supplying the weapons. Nice.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are things that they legitimately have fans bring the women's death matches where fans will build shit and bring it and they'll use it. It's crazy some of the things people come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I saw this guy posted recently in one of the groups I'm in. He was like, oh, I made this. It was for Carnage Cup for Deep South, but it was like carpet strips with nails, because of course carpet strips have nails, wrapped in barbed wire with light tubes and gusset plates on it. I'm just like, how fucking like you just want everyone to die.
Yeah, that seems a little rough.
They still used it.
It's crazy. No, yeah, I saw like
Yeah, that's the. Oh god.
I was just saying, I saw someone with like crutches with the light bulbs around it and taped around and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, people like they'll bring rubber chickens with thumbtacks through it. They'll just be beating them with rubber chickens and thumbtacks. But yeah, this is the old ECW arena, so this is where, I mean, hardcore wrestling had been around, honestly, since the 50s, but, like, when actual weapons and shit started getting used was ECW.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the more extreme weapons, so it was in this building when all that shit went down.
Yeah, so I wonder about the fear of disease or even just the staff and just stuff, because just, like, surrounded by just blood everywhere and just...
I mean, everyone
like
gets
hopefully.
tested.
Yeah. But even still, like, you have
I mean,
open...
a lot of the times, even in blood states, they still have to get tested because it's still run through the state athletic commission. So they legally can't have, like, insure wrestlers to wrestle unless they pass a blood test.
Mm-hmm. But even so, like, you have open wounds and you're just rolling around the ground getting all kinds of shit in your...
Yeah.
It's like there's got to be some
That
interesting
happened-
infections.
That happened to Onita, actually. He almost died because of it, but he won a death match, and he ran out of the building and jumped off this local bridge into the water in celebration, and like all of his cuts got infected, and he like went into a coma because the water was so nasty.
Yeah, I can see that. You're just asking for a flesh-eating disease.
Right. When you climb up and you're like, oh, never mind, fuck it, that's too high. Never mind, guys, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe he went with a second thought. Maybe he was sizing up the weight beater and realized that weight beater was not in the proper position. Maybe that is what happened.
Where is he going now? Uh-oh.
What do you think the most, like, notable matches?
In sense.
Like, or like, yeah, I mean, the most popular where people, like, kind of got them started or just noted to be the craziest.
Probably, see, that's really hard because I think everyone starts somewhere, whether it was in early ECW, you come across Japanese deathmatch wrestling, or even, you know, American deathmatch wrestling, but it's not always the same company. But probably the craziest match would be pain or no pain limit tournament or some shit like that from Freedoms back in 2012. Jun Kasai versus Masada. That match, they fucked each other up righteously.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, yeah, I think that's when they or either that or Jun Kasai versus Ryuji Ito when they did the Razor Board death match.
Mm-hmm.
That one was fucked up. Like there are a lot of moments where I'm just like, no, like it was too much for me at times.
I know there's a couple of women that are in the industry, but is it kind of popular, or is there really only like 2 or 3?
No, I mean, it just depends. There's, 2 or 3 depending on the area. But if you consider it as a whole, I mean, there's a lot of good female deathmatch wrestlers in the United States. A lot of them are coming from Mexico. Japanese female deathmatch wrestling has been around since the early 90s. Yeah. But to me, like, the biggest female deathmatch wrestler right now would be Casey Catal. She's an American Deathmatch champion for ICW, and she's taken that shit like all over the place. Like she took it to Australia, I think, and defeated Joel Bateman for it, or retained it against him. But like she's beating dudes left and right, and it's fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She's facing her husband this next Sunday, I think.
So are the matches predetermined on who's going to win?
Yeah, I mean it's just like wrestling on TV. It's just more violent and sometimes less predictable.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, it's definitely like, hey, you're gonna go out, you're going over because we want to do this with you at the next show, or if someone's stock is high and they want to get it higher. Or...
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I mean it's still predetermined. The spots are still predetermined, but it still hurts like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I would say, you know, wrestling's choreographed, but it's not fake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll send deathmatch pictures to people sometime, and they'll be like, is that real? And I'm like, no, they just poured ketchup all over themselves.
The only thing that seems like in real wrestling, the punches just seem always so like fake. There's like you weren't even near him.
I mean, but that's also in the sake of protecting your opponent. Like, if you're getting
True that.
punched in the face straight up every night, you're really gonna...
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely not like throwing back too much. It's kind of like that abrupt, like little like quick jab type stuff. You're not throwing back a whole.
I mean,
like,
that's
fist.
the thing about wrestling is like the major thing is like to make it look as real as possible without actually like seriously injuring someone.
Mm-hmm. But here you have like you don't even know uncertain aspects because the table might not break right, or you know, there's just certain things.
Dude, when the table doesn't break, oh my god, that shit's so painful. Like just to watch people hit and like fall off like immediately, I'm just like, oh, that did not feel good.
Mm-hmm.
It's never ended, John. It truly has never ended. This is something that has been boiling in their blood since October the 16th of 1999 when this thing started.
They're both a bloody mess right now, Eric.
That's another thing that makes it so fun is audience participation. Like being live in the crowd and just everyone getting fucking rowdy is great.
Oh, I'm sure. Hear a lot of whoop whoop.
Sometimes. Shut up. We don't allow that foul language here. It's just that's the thing. The thing that's really dangerous about it is like basically anything you do, you're gonna have to try to top it the next time around, and that just brings it to ridiculous proportions of like what things people think they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know it's like, all right, well we put you through 10 doors. Well, now we have to have doors with gusset plates on it. Well, we did that, so now we'll have gusset plates wrapped in barbed wire with lights. You know, it just keeps getting. Well, you did a 10-foot drop last time. Let's do a 20-foot drop this time.
Let's set the door on fire. You know,
Yeah. here's a gun with a beanbag in it. Good luck.
Here's a sock with spikes in it.
Yeah. No, they do that. Thumbtack kick pad matches where they have kick pads with thumbtacks through them.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's oh god, I forgot. Taipei deathmatch where they wrap their hands in tape, dip them in buckets of glue, and then put broken glass all over them and like fucking fight it out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, ECW was doing that shit in the 90s. This isn't going to be good.
Concussion. Yeah, just imagine how many concussions happen in these.
Yeah. Cruel was just knocked the fuck out recently because he took a sideways chair to the head, cracked his skull open.
Damn.
Or not his skull, but cracked his head open. Oh, yeah, see, rubber chicken. You thought I was lying.
No, I believe you.
Yeah, no, I know.
He's choking the chicken. Hey.
Oh, yes, daddy.
Yeah, I feel that extreme wrestling is hard to promote.
I mean, if you find it and you like it, it's your thing. I mean, you don't you don't really know any of this is going on unless you're kind of looking for it or stumble upon it because you're not getting sponsored ads on Facebook of like, hey, come to this backwoods bar.
Unless we're more in a meeting.
Yeah.
And if they try to promote it on Facebook or doing whatever, they get shut out.
Well, no. I mean, it's just in a lot of private groups.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Salt and the Weed Eater. God damn.
Man, he's salty.
Oh, yeah, that's the state athletic commissioner.
That's Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission Representative Frank Talent. They're shutting us down. They're shutting us down, John.
Yeah, how many matches have been shut down?
A lot. Ian Rotten has gotten so many places, or like been kicked from so many venues because of his shitty mud show wrestling bullshit. Carney, yes, yeah. A lot of shows have gotten shut down. A lot of shows have been canceled. Places have banned deathmatch wrestling, like venues.
Well, because they don't really know what to expect. They just kind of think, like, oh, it's just wrestling. It should be fine.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, you know, a table here, a chair there, or whatever. But
then they're like, oh, all this blood we have to clean up. What the fuck?
right, like who's sweeping all this glass up?
Mm.
And then they have barefoot line dancing the next night.
Yeah.
Is it over? No. It's over.
Do they have a lot of like the similar thing where they kind of just like talk a lot of shit before the match and like, I'm gonna fuck you, and like kind of like no.
Sometimes. Nowadays, it's more just kept to, like, words online. But sometimes they still do promo videos. Like, Schlack has some of my favorite promos ever where he dresses up as a cowboy for, like, Double Aces deathmatch or something. He's like, giddy up! It's like, it's fucking great.
Yeah, and it seems like not a lot of people, I mean, besides Nick Mondo's, like, parachute pants don't really, like, get too much into costume. But
I mean, there are some who have full, complete characters, and then there are some who just show up in like jeans. And I mean, they've always had that jeans look where that was just them. But I mean, there are people who wear full-on body paint and shit. Cruel is literally a masked serial killer. There's the Carver who comes out with like a fucking chainsaw and shit.
But it's not like the Undertaker or something like that, where they're just making a huge show about
Oh,
it.
sometimes, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like when I went to Deathmatch Circus, it was one of the coolest entrances I ever seen. But it was dark out, and they lit a bonfire by this school bus, and so we're all like watching the show. We're like, "Oh, cool bonfire!" And then it's Cruel versus the Kirks, and his music hits, and everyone's like, "Where the fuck is he?" Well, we're surrounded by a cornfield, and you just hear someone say, "Oh my God, there he is!" And we all turn around, and he's just walking out of the cornfield, like next to this giant bonfire, like a fucking like Jason type motherfucker, and it blew my mind. We were like, "Oh shit!" That was a great match too.
Yeah, I'm sure seeing in person is like a whole different thing.
Oh yeah, especially when you're fucking hammered and stoned as fuck like I was.
How many matches do you think you've seen?
I mean, Deathmatch Circus was 4 shows over 2 days.
Yeah.
And then I went and saw ICW Milwaukee, and they did Akira versus Neil Diamond Cutter in a deathmatch, so I saw that one. So, I don't know. Maybe like over 20, 30? I haven't been to a lot of them live. Because I lived in South Carolina for the longest time. They don't really do that down there unless you're going to like Alabama or some shit.
Oh. Is Ohio a blood state?
No, it's a bloodless. But there are people trying to figure out loopholes and shit, so. Like, there's this guy, Ohio Hatchet Wrestling, who's trying to put a show together in Ohio. I guess it didn't work out because he's moving it to West Virginia, but they had a hardcore tournament recently, but it was just, there wasn't really any blood. Because it's kind of like New York, where, New York, if there's any blood in a match, you have to shut it down immediately.
Yeah,
Like, even if you're busted, if accidentally busted open, like, hard way, yeah, they'll cut it. Which is why, like, Casanova Valentine, he does death matches in New York, but he does them as no ring death matches, and it's just him doing deathmatch wrestling in a bar because he can call it a performance art, and they can't shut it down.
So how many states are bloodless states?
I have no idea. I honestly have no idea. New Jersey is bloodless, Delaware is bloodless. Michigan's bloodless, Tennessee, Florida, Los Angeles, Texas. Or not Los Angeles, California, Texas. But yeah, more than specifics, I don't know. I know Indiana is a bloodless state, or is a blood state. No, I'm naming all blood states. My bad, not bloodless. Those are all blood states.
Oh, okay.
But I know New York's bloodless, Ohio's bloodless, South Carolina's bloodless.
Where is it most popular in the States?
New Jersey, Philly area, and then California. Because, I mean, GCW's from Jersey, ICW's from Jersey, CZW got their start in Jersey, ICW, No Holds Barred, was Jersey, so... XPW's trying to move in on Jersey. But, I mean, because that's kind of the birth of like straight up hardcore wrestling was in Philly, because that's where ECW was.
You know, I'm sure there's a bigger fan base there, so the shows are bigger.
Philly fans are fucking insane. But that's with any wrestling. I mean, even when WWE goes there, they hijack the fucking show. They just don't give a fuck.
Yeah, but normal wrestling, they're not giving handmade weapons to people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, you can't do that anymore. You can't take like things from people in the crowd. You can't spill drinks or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure COVID's kind of ruined a lot of it.
I don't know. Wouldn't that be funny though, to go to like a WWE show, John Cena comes out, he like grabs your drink, takes a sip, and you're like, dude, I put so much Molly in that. Oh my god. Why did you do that?
It's like, hope you like acid.
I can't see any of you. Oh my god. You can't see me? Am I real? Am I a ghost, guys? Yeah, this is the finale of Tournament of Death 1.
Is this early Nick Mondo career, or I mean, I know he was only active for 4 years.
This was like 2002, or 2000. Yeah, this was 2002 because Tournament of Death 2 happened in 2003. So this is 1 year before he retired, because it was at the second anniversary of this show that he retired. But I mean, he did a lot. He kind of went all over the world for a bit, made a name for himself. He was highly respected and still is, as far as I know. He did make a return run, I think, in like 2009 or 2010, where there was this guy, and it was this kid who went to every CZW show, was absolutely obsessed with Nick Mondo, would dress like him. He ended up, becoming of age, training at CZW, and he became known as Little Mondo. And so he was doing the whole deathmatch wrestling thing, and they made it a storyline where Sick Nick Mondo came back at a Cage of Death and basically begged him to stop doing deathmatch wrestling. He said, "You're destroying yourself, you're destroying your body, you don't need to do this." And they had a face-off on top of the cage. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know, I find that kind of disappointing to be like, my tribute, my person I love told me not to do it.
Yeah. It's a soap opera for men. Come on. It's always
That's how we cry. We cry with blood.
True. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Holy shit! Yeah, how many times have you heard that in your...
So many times. I've even started it a couple times. There's a part when I was watching Schlack at ICW where I was just like, human fucking meat grinder!
It's gotta be embarrassed that the weed whacker just won't turn on. You're like, yeah, fuck.
It's like, fuck. Like, there's a part, There's an entrance where Undertaker, when he was doing his whole biker gimmick, and his bike wouldn't start at the top of the entrance ramp, so he like gets on, sits, tries to start it, it doesn't work, so he just gets off and walks down to the ring. I'm like, oh, that did not feel good, huh?
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
I love that whole match. It's just pure brutality and chaos.
Yeah, I like how he's kind of held it for you. Like, I'm sorry, I'm holding the blood for you. It's like, because even he realized, like, oh,
it's
I went
like
all
a
deep.
double-edged sword, because you're like, I'm stopping the bleeding, but I'm also pushing all that glass into your back.
Mm-hmm. And whatever glass is in my hands, like, just pushing into the fucking wound.
Right, just right into the wound. After he dumped salt on him, so there's probably salt there, too.
And he's, like, kind of holding it, but rubbing it a little bit. I'm like, no! You
I
asshole!
hope it not get infected. Fuck you!
Yeah, he seems so much in pain. He's like, that was a bad idea.
I don't know if I want to do this, guys. I think I need to just go home and lay down for a little bit.
Yeah. I'll be fine tomorrow.
My mom says I can't play with you guys anymore. You're what they call a bad influence.
They didn't give that to Nick Mondo after getting fucking weed whacked?
Nope. He lost the first tournament. That's why he came back and won the second one. But I mean, he still earned mad respect for that. Like, that moment, like, he had been popular, but that moment really made him.
Yeah.
And he still says that it's hands down the worst thing he's ever taken. The most painful thing. And I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, I can imagine. That just rips you open.
Dude, not fun at all.
And you might as well just...
So this is when they were feuding with IWA Mid-South. Or, yeah, so those are IWA Mid-South guys. Nick
Were they
Gage,
actually trying to...
Nick
Is that
Gage,
real?
Nick
Like, and them actually jumping them, or they were just...
No,
okay.
no, it was a whole... They were working together. I mean, it's a storyline, but that has happened where, like, wrestlers have just appeared and tried to start fights
Yeah.
to get the company over.
Mm-hmm.
XPW did that to ECW, and ECW locker room beat the shit out of the XPW locker room.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think the biggest asshole is?
And all of Deathmatch?
Yeah.
Ian Rotten.
Sounds rotten.
Are you trying to get me canceled before I even fucking...
I'm just asking
can
questions.
I interview for my show? No, you shit talk everyone. You know. I'm still trying to work in this business.
Just, say something you don't plan on interviewing.
Yeah, right?
Just kidding.
Sorry, Satsujen. I didn't mean it. Nah. It's cool. I'm an asshole anyways. So.
You changed your light from the last recording. I'm just gonna say, fuck this person, fuck that.
So I didn't have any alcoholic beverages before that shoot. I'm sorry. Okay, I will be back to my normal self next week. Oh my gosh. Just the carnage. Like, there's no better feeling than, like, at the end of the show when it's like that and just everyone's standing around and you're just, like, taking it all in of what you just witnessed.
Yeah.
It's cathartic, in a sense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
That's right, Eric, and that's why
Encore.
right? One more match. Wait, what?
Coming up soon on Combat Zone Wrestling Home Video, tables, ladders, and violence. Hardcore meets innovation.
That's right, Eric, and
Innovation.
superstars such as the Backseat Boys.
Innovator of violence. Oh, wait, that's Tommy Dreamer.
The Backseat Boys. Nice.
And
Yes.
so much more.
Trent Acid and Johnny Cashmere.
Eric Arjula, we will see you next time out at tables, ladders, and violence.
Yeah, who do you think has the most obscure name?
The most obscure name?
Mm-hmm.
In, like, what sense?
I mean, just like that's kind of fucking stupid, or not stupid, but just kind of like over the top name. Just like either comical or just.
Wife beater.
I mean, yeah.
Wife beater. I don't know. I can't really think of any just like super ridiculous names. I mean, Dirty Ron McDonald, but he's a piece of shit. So what do you expect? But what'd you think into another introduction of deathmatch wrestling besides the clips I've sent you?
I mean, I've seen this before.
I know, it's your movie. I
No,
thought I'd get some thoughts and opinions.
No, it's good. The documentary Unscarred is I thought was a good pairing. If you're ever gonna watch this, watch Scarred and Unscarred, so you can get kind of the whole Nick Mondo story.
Yeah, Unscarred is the documentary they did in like 2004, 2005 about Nick Mondo, and that really is a good look into his career, but also into like the mindset of deathmatch wrestling in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. So definitely, if you watch these or watch Scarred, I'd definitely watch Unscarred with it as well. All right. So thanks for joining us on the first ever episode of Fright Fight. Thank you again, Christian, for joining us. Do you have any last thoughts or words?
Not at all. I'm just kidding. No, it was fun. I mean. I'm like I said, I'm still kind of a newbie in some of these, so I don't know the names of a lot of the wrestlers and who everything is and all that. But I think it's always a good time. So.
I mean, it you have to learn. It comes with time. You know, mm-hmm. I don't know any football players. If I sat down and tried,
yeah, me neither. Maybe. Yeah, I probably couldn't even. Yeah, I probably couldn't even name like 3 football players.
Is O.J. Simpson still a thing?
No. I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, you're asking the wrong person when it comes to sports. I'm not a sports guy. I like extreme sports.
You don't know anything about O.J. Simpson?
I mean, I know that, but I don't know about his actual career. Besides him killing his wife. I
just know he stole his own memorabilia from a casino.
Killed his wife. I don't know, whatever.
All right, so that wraps up the first... All right, but yeah, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of Fright Fight. Take care.